You're listening to Hearing the Silence of a Convicted Mind. I'm Chameleon. I don't chase noise. I study silence. Let's listen carefully. The case was closed. The sentence was final. But the language didn't stop. When a convicted mind speaks, most people listen for regret. I listen for rehearsal. That's the difference. Context. The subject is a composite, mid-40s, methodical, a known strategist within his network, convicted on financial coercion and conspiracy, a sentence sufficient to close the file, not to erase social influence. I reviewed weeks of recorded phone calls and commissary conversations at the request of a corrections research unit. What felt off was not the confession of guilt. It was the persistent, rhythmic, nonverbal pattern underneath the words, repeated throat clears, micro-laughs where there was nothing to laugh about, sharp inhalations before small requests. No single cue proved intent. The pattern did. Analysis A, the language shift, paralinguistic addition. He didn't move into past tense the way people who reflect usually do. Instead, his language threaded forward. Future-oriented phrasing, conditional constructions, rehearsed possibility. The nonverbal sounds rode alongside those constructions. A soft throat clear before a sentence like, "We could." The micro laugh after, "Then it changes." Repetition matters. When the same nonverbal marker appears reliably before a phrase that invites action, it functions like rehearsal, a cue to imagine the next step out loud, to normalize it. He wasn't speaking in past tense. He was rehearsing possibility. Analysis B, the silence and the sound. Listen for pauses before keywords. A slight inhalation, a held breath, the quiet gap where you expect an apology but get a calibrated absence instead. Throat clears function as reset buttons. A micro laugh can deflect. Breath changes mark cognitive load or deliberate composition. Emotional flatness shows in the sameness of those markers across topics. He used the same inhale for logistics as he did for sympathy. Silence has patterns. When you map those pauses and microsounds against the content, patterns emerge that words alone obscure. Analysis C, the manipulation. These paralinguistic cues perform work. First, compliance testing. A soft throat clear, then a tentative request. Can you see if gauges whether the listener will accept a small ask? Second, scaffolding. Micro laughs and quick affirmations signal agreement and lower resistance for later, larger asks. Third, internal influence. From a restricted environment, he used sound signatures to maintain a social ladder. Small markers that told listeners where to stand and what to do next. The pattern never disappears. It simply adapts to the constraint. Escalation insight. Conviction ends movement, but it does not end cognition. Inside confinement, strategy shifts channels. Without meetings or notes, sound becomes a transport medium for influence. Those signature sounds, the throat clear, the inhale, the clipped consonant, travel through phone lines and visitants. They signal timing, test loyalty, and normalize small favors. Over time, repeated acoustic signatures create an expectation. People adapt. The environment adapts. Strategy persists in the least visible places. The chilling realization. Maybe he wasn't reacting. Maybe he'd planned this phase. Small sounds, rehearsed. Markers placed to move others without physical movement. That possibility changes how you listen. It should change how you train your ear. Controlled close. Conviction closes cases. It doesn't always close patterns. Silence has patterns. If you train to hear them, you change the map of influence. Subscribe for more case readings and practical listening habits. Listen carefully. Incarceration restricts movement. It does not restrict cognition. Some minds adapt. That's what I heard. Is the truth in what is said? Listen carefully. Silence always says something.
They call it manipulation. Sometimes, it's adaptation to constant observation. Because when you know someone's always listening, you learn how to speak without saying everything.